Okay. Uh-oh. Shit. I'm gonna move it over here a little bit, drop it here. Um, pop it like this. Go like this. Maybe put on just a little bit of gloss. No, I think I'm good. Yeah, I think I'm good right now. Y'all, it took like a long ass time. I'm gonna change because I feel like I'm underwater here. Change the effect. Yeah. No, 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 no. Pro. I think that's perfect. I like that. Hey, Miss Hughes, what's up? Thank you for joining me. I started late because I was having technical difficulties. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna try and wait for someone other than us to get in. Which listen, I don't mind that you're in here by yourself with me. That is wonderful. I appreciate it. Um, I was at my besties earlier today. Oh, first of all, Miss Hughes, do you celebrate Easter? And if you do, did you have a good Easter? Well, I don't celebrate Easter, but I did go to my sister's birthday, and it was also a birthday and an Easter celebration. Um, okay, okay, yeah. Um, I so they combined Easter and her birthday together, and we just went for her birthday, and it was actually a very good family day for our family because when I came out, it did mess up our family, and for a long time, it took my dad having a heart attack a couple of years ago um, to bring his softer side out, where he was nice and cuddly, and he still is. So that's I appreciate that. He uses my name now, which is amazing, and he's very affectionate, which is also amazing. Um, because I didn't have that growing up. We were not that type of family. So it's refreshing to see because Egg's family is like that. So I got used to that. So now trying to get used to that with my family, and it's kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie. So let's see. No one else is coming in. What was okay? Great. That's actually even better that no one's coming in, so I don't feel so embarrassed. I am going to read one of my little poems slash stories. Like I call it a poem. How you were supposed to do something, but someone in the family had a. Oh, I'm sorry. I see. I see. Yeah, yeah. Family issues, just families. Families. Always issues within families. I'm sorry about the stroke, though. I hope that they're okay, and I hope that you are okay. Now, your MAGA mom. I would probably have not. It would have been awkward too, and I probably would have made it awkward. I tend to run my mouth around any MAGA people. My bestie's dad is a MAGA person, and me and him always get into intense arguments when we are around each other. As a consequence, bestie does not bring me around him much because I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to back down. And she's been mentally and emotionally abused her whole life by this man. Um, but he does not exert that control over me. And I will stand on my word and 10 toes down, to do what I have to do to keep her sanity and also to let him know that he's a piece of shit because he is. Um, but yeah, so what I was good anyway, she said I should read this because I was reading it to her. And she was like, "Oh yeah, you should go ahead and read that." And I was like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool. I can do that." So I think there's only us in here, and that is good. Um, the I know, I can't like I yeah. There's no way, and like it would be like my face is an open book, so like it's not like people wouldn't be able to read it anyway, like right at the very beginning, you know. So now that let me pop in here and find this what I was going to read. This is on onyxrose.net, because none of my poetry can be on Substack because I don't write there anymore. It's this crazy thing, I know, whatever. Wow, I thought I had more poems than this. Where's all my? Oh, I know why, because I clicked on the wrong thing. Um, oh, little doggy. Okay, so 3:33 p.m. 3:33. It is now 5:36. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and I have no filter. So I can filter myself, but when it is something that I feel strongly about, I usually don't have a filter. And the problem is I have ADHD, suspected ADHD, and and I have bipolar disorder. So there are times where I just can't. You never know if it's the bipolar, the ADHD. I just can't keep my mouth shut. I just keep on going, yap, 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 yap. Um, or then there's times where I need to be by myself, very quiet, very alone, and leave me the fuck alone. But I just right now, unfortunately, I'm still in this episode, so I'm going live and writing a lot, which is fun because it's taking up my time and it's like um, all my excess energy is going into that instead of bugging egg and doing drugs, which I don't do anymore and haven't done since 2012, and I am not at risk of doing. So I'm happy about that. I do smoke weed, of course. So, like Samantha Page called it, some California sober. Hey, Mark, thanks for coming in. Yeah, Samantha Page called it California sober, and I find that kind of funny. I guess that is California sober, but and I guess that's what I am, California sober. Um, Speaking of Samantha Page, next Thursday, this Thursday coming up, me and her are going to chop it up again. Yeah, this is round two, part deux, if you will. We're going to do another musical playlist swap. This is going to be a National Poetry Month selection. I'm assuming it's going to be a National Poetry Month selection. She is going to have we have a plus one, and she said that was for National Poetry Month, so maybe not just one, like a plus one. Two, and lots of weed for the safety of mankind. Yes, yes, lots of weed for the safety of mankind. Yes, indeed, has to be done. Um, so yeah, I do smoke every day, and I do smoke pretty much. Now when I my routine when I get up, I do have routines, and like so my routine when I get up is I wake up, then I take out the dog because we have a little black pug named Nix, and he requires going out, and we don't have a yard, so we live in an apartment complex. So he needs to go to the bathroom usually around 5:30 in the morning, between 5:30 and 6:30. Today was 6:30. So we go to the bathroom, go for little walkies, and then we come back in and I feed him, and I take my medication, which is a grip of medication, and then I go and meditate for about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm smoking right now too, Miss You. So actually, I before I just went live. I just took like 4 or 5 hits. Yeah, I'll probably just pop some online too. I don't really care if anybody sees me smoking. um, but yeah. So, Miss what kind of weed do you smoke? Is it like name brand? Like, is it known like Green Crack or Sour D? There's no good Sour D anymore. But like Blue Dream, um, I've got some dope man weed. I've got my you got concentrate. Okay. Concentrate sounds great. Um, I like concentrate. Yeah. But I've got my plug, my dealer, and I've been working with him for years. And he just gets me weed, which is good weed. It's never been bad. It's probably mid. I've had better. Um, he's gotten me better before. But I don't live in a legal state. You're smoking sour D, not the sour D from like 2008. Wax on, wax off. Nice, nice. I don't have any wax. I like batter. I haven't had any batter in a minute. The last time I did was probably 2 or 3 months ago. Well, no, it was right before my surgery. So probably in November. Um, and I haven't had concentrate since then. Um, they were like, you need to stop. It was kind of funny because I was at my consult before my FFS, which was in 2 weeks before 2 weeks before the surgery, and the nurse pulls me aside and she's like, "Do you smoke weed?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Why are you whispering?" And she was like, "I don't want your parents to know." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." Because my parents did not know. And so I don't really care. I don't care if they know, but I was like, okay, so fine. And as an aside, we went to dinner, breakfast, lunch today for my sister's birthday and Easter. Um, and A Town, Atlanta, just fucking reeks. Not reeks because I love the smell of weed, but Atlanta smells like the devil's lettuce. Like the entire fucking city smells like the devil's lettuce. Um, Everywhere we went, like roll down the window, devil's lettuce, like like getting high. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm happy. Hey Neuro D, what's up? Yeah. Um, Wax on, wax off. Yeah. We were talking about weed. Misuse is smoking on some sour D, but not the sour D from 2008. Yeah, that's the real sour D, unless you grow your own misuse. I don't know if you grow your own. That would be nice. I've got like a ton of seeds. I've got the whole setup. Unfortunately, I live in an apartment, and I there was a place that I thought I had secured, and it fell through. So I just have all this equipment and um, all these seeds and this soil and lights and everything, pots and everything that I need to get started growing, um, except for space. you know, Space that I can keep away from, eyes that I don't need seeing or looking, especially of the police variety. If I thought I could, find a safe house. Hey, Rose, thanks for coming in. Hey, Luca, thanks for coming in. If I thought I could find a safe house, then I would, I definitely would. Right now, it's not until it's legal in the state of Georgia can I do anything. Like in Atlanta, I can be rolling with an ounce. And if I get pulled over with an ounce, they're just going to give me a ticket. Um, any place outside of Atlanta, like where I live, which is like 10 minutes outside of Atlanta, I would get, I would probably get a 10-year sentence. It's that serious. Like they don't fuck around. Especially since I'm black and I'm trans, they would definitely throw the book at me. So I have to be careful when I ride dirty. And that's fine. I'm used to it. It just something that I've done. I use a smell proof container. Well, I hope it's smell proof. Um, haven't had to encounter any reasons to check that it's smell proof. Let me put it to you like that. Um, It's let's see. Oh, in Michigan. Oh God, so I think Michigan's got the best weed in the United States. You know, I think definitely Michigan has got the best weed in the United States and has for the last like 5 years. You know, I think once it became legal in Michigan, Michigan just took off. And crushing everybody now. Um, my plug, who I yeah, my plug used to get stuff from Michigan. That's where he would go. He would go up to Michigan and come down. Yeah. Michigan is the shit right now when it comes to weed. Um, they're the Amsterdam of the United States. No, I haven't been anywhere in Oregon, Oregon or Oregon. I don't know. I'm from Atlanta, so I say Oregon, Oregon. I have not been anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, to be completely honest. Hey, Joe, thanks for coming in. I haven't actually been on the West Coast since I was a wee tot, no, I have not been on the West Coast in a long time. The farthest I've been west was when I lived in Texas. And the farthest I've been west was probably I don't know how it lines up, but I've been to Austin and I've been to Minneapolis, St. Paul, that area. That's as far west as I've been. Um, well, ever that I can remember, that I can actually remember. My parents were talking about it today, and it's kind of funny. But let's see, before legal weed, the running joke was, how you're in what is it? Eugene, because you can smell the pot cloud. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. That's how it is in Atlanta. Like Atlanta, you just like it is a cloud, and it is permanent devil's lettuce. And while I have no problem with that, there are certainly people who do. Like my parents. They were not at all thrilled that the devil's lettuce was that the devil's lettuce was so strong. Um, let's see. I've been on the West Coast since I got back from Bahrain. Um, how is that place? I assume it's not safe for trans people, so um, like I don't know much about it. Um, is it safe for trans people? Is it in the Middle East area near UAE and all that? I'm not really sure. I guess I could look it up pretty quickly, but I'm not going to. I hope Miss Hughes you'll throw me in the comments, but that was just after the Gulf War. Oh, okay, okay. That's a clip. Okay. So you fought in the Gulf War, or yeah? Oh, wow. Well, thank you for fighting for the country that's probably treating you like shit now. And I'm sorry about that. Luca, I've only been to Seattle on the West Coast. Love visiting there. I would like to go to Seattle. I definitely would. That's where I get my tea from. So I would love to go. I would love to go to Seattle. I would love to go to the Pacific Northwest. Egg went some years back and said it was just wonderful there. And I have a friend whose sister lives there and she's trans, and they're like, it's really cool, it's really safe. But I've heard that there's a lot of unhoused people. I'm not sure. Atlanta has its fair share of unhoused people too, so it's not like it's not like I'm unaware of the issue, and it's not like I'm like, oh well, that's shitty and I don't want to live there. But I do want to, I wish that I just wish I knew going in. Pacific Northwest, like that sounds like a safe area. The problem is, I don't know how gloomy it is. I need some sun. I need some sun. I need some sun. Oh, bye, no D. Ill. Okay. Bye. Um, yeah. I'll probably catch Neuro D on the porch tonight. Um, c'est possible. Bye, Neuro D. I don't know anything about living there, but for trans people, it's easy to blend in with no worries. Um, let's see. So blending in. Okay. So blending in, let's see. Would I be able to blend in, Luca, if I wore dresses? Because I wear dresses every day and I talked like this. You know, I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe so. Um, but I don't know like the culture, and whether they allow people to wear dresses like this, the way I dress or the way I speak. Um, no one cares? Okay. Well, shit. Then maybe I need to look up that place. Is it Bahrain? So I can, so just in case, we need to go somewhere, then maybe we'll go there. So many trans people. Oh, you're talking about Seattle. Okay, I'm sorry. Um, Hey, Joe, happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Zombie Jesus Day. As we say, happy Pagan Sex Day. Also, yeah, sorry about that, Luca. Yeah, Seattle is on my list to go to, definitely. And I definitely want to go to Seattle before the United States collapses. I'd like to go to Seattle. Um, and that would be good. Yeah, Seattle. I have my touch places that I want to see, like Seattle. I do want to see Sedona, Arizona. Um, I don't know if I want to see Los Angeles. I'm just not sure about Los Angeles. I would like to see San Diego. I've never been there. Um, let's see, on up the West Coast, San Francisco, Oakland. Yeah, I'd like to go to Oakland just to see that Bay Area, San Francisco. I'd like to see. I have my brother-in-law, not my brother, well, my brother-in-law for intents and all intents and purposes, because he's my bestie's brother, lives up in San Francisco. Bahrain is a small island off of Saudi Arabia. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right. The northeast is trans friendly too. Yes. So the but trans people aren't as concentrated. The Northeast is interesting. The only problem I have with the Northeast is that very waspy, and that in itself is, I don't know. It's like I would assume it's very cliquish. Now I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I've been to the Northeast once that I can remember. To Worcester, Massachusetts. No, Worcester. Yeah, Worcester, Massachusetts. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Um, my cousin lives there. Um, the Northeast is trans friendly, yes, and expensive. Yes, it is super expensive. Like, but I've heard that the Northeast is super expensive. The Pacific Northwest is expensive. Is that not right? Any misuse? You're in Michigan. How is it in Michigan in terms of cost of living? Anything like that. Um, there's so many trans people in Seattle. Yeah, Luca, I wonder, isn't Seattle where do they have a large unhoused population? Not that it's a problem, but it is something to worry about. I don't know. I'm not trying to be discriminatory. That's not the case at all. Um, but also I want to be in a place where it's relatively safe. Shit, I mean, I do live in Atlanta, like, well, 10 minutes outside of Atlanta. So when I go into Atlanta proper, it's Atlanta. It's a city, city. So Atlanta's G code. Northeast, yeah, expensive. So I wish that, I just want to do some traveling within the United States. We drove home from Minneapolis. We flew up to Minneapolis, took care of some business, and then drove back home. We made a stop in St. Louis, um, and you know, like it took us through these like country roads and like neighborhoods and shit like that. Like we were not on the highway. All we saw was corn, and we were like, where in the motherfucking children of the corn are we? Um, let's see. There are unhoused people, but they aren't as problematic as they can be as places like NYC. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Is there a lot of drug abuse? And there again, I have no problem because I'm an addict. And I will freely and rightly admit that anytime and anywhere, because there's no shame in being an addict. Um, the only shame is, well, there's no shame in not getting help either, because there are reasons for not getting help, and I understand that. So I can't really say there's just no shame. There's only like not pity, no shame, not pity, understanding, caring, you know, helping. Uh, um, yeah, so New York City, I've been to New York City once, and well, actually, I've been twice. I went with my parents when I was young, and we saw Ice Cube in an elevator. He was tiny. I was like a giant compared to him. He was a tiny little motherfucker. He had like bodyguards. Like it was kind of funny because we were all squunched into this elevator, and he had two bodyguards, and like the bodyguards were tall and beefy, and I was just tall and lanky, and my parents were like all short because they're short, and my sisters are short. So I got the tall gene. Um, and like I'm looking down at Ice Cube, like, okay, but this is Ice Cube, so what do you think, Cal? Yes, empathy is a big thing, empathy. Um, Empathy though, and I've been I've been working on empathy, not working because I already have a certain amount of empathy that I feel is a little bit more than I won't say most people because that's not fair, but then a lot of people. Um, and one thing I've been hearing is that empathy invites narcissists. Because narcissists feed on empaths, people who are super empathetic. And it is a circular, necessary pattern. And so I'm not going to get into all that because, I think it's interesting, but I'm trying to figure out if I've ever been in this kind of relationship. And I'm thinking back, I'm thinking like, yeah, motherfucker, yes, I have. Um, NYC is wild. I get away with being trans while visiting, but it's like choose your own adventure book, act a fool, and you're going to have a bad. Yes. So yeah. Street smarts. Street smarts. That's what it is. Street smarts. Like you gotta watch what you do and who you say it to. Just the same way in Atlanta. You got to check yourself. You got to be smart. If you're gonna walk around in a dress, you got to be ready for the mess, because there could be some, um, and that's just how it is. Same thing in New York City. Like I went to New York City, and yeah, it's the same thing. Yes, misuse boundaries, 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 boundaries. I've had to learn boundaries too. I'm still not good at them. I'm working on being able to put them up. I did get out of a toxic relationship recently, like within the last 2 months recently. And this is not toxic sexual relationship or anything like that. This is just a toxic relationship that I had to end up. I like everybody had pretty much cut off um, all all conversation with this person, all communications with this person, and I was still communicating with them because I felt like they needed my help. And I'm that kind of person who is someone, and I feel if someone needs help, and if I can feel like they need to talk to someone, then I'm going to be that person. I'm just going to gently let them know and have them open up. I like to call it being a venturator. That's out of Gilmore Girls. being a ventilator, someone who people can come to and kind of vent, and they don't have to pay $70 or shit like that. Um, Hey, Rouser, how you doing? What's up? What's up? What's up? I hope can I call you Rouser? Is that it? Rousercw. Is it? Can I say just Rouser? I hope I can. If not, let me know in the comments what I can say. um, Struggle with boundaries because I'm an extreme empath. Yes. So it's funny you say that because so can I. So it's called clear sentience, like the being able to pick up on uh, people's energy and people's emotions, and being able to pick up on energy in the rooms that you go into, and feeling energy change, feeling the subtle shift. Yeah, that is called clairsentience. Yeah. Uh, so thank you, Rouser. Okay. Um, uh, and the thing with that is indeed boundaries. If you know, I've been overwhelmed energetically twice in my life, to the point where it left me in a sobbing, heaving, uncontrollable mess, and it happened twice at work. Um, and it was not good. Like the second time, I had to go home, and I just had to just do all this shit to recover. The first time, a person that was not someone who worked at the metaphysical so I worked at a metaphysical store, and that's where like this energy just like overwhelmed me, and I was trying to figure out where it was coming from, but I couldn't. And this lady comes up to me, and she's like, honey. And she's like, let me go get you something. So she ran, and she got me the biggest smoky quartz crystal she could get. She was like, hold on to this, and she was like, for the next 10 days, wear this. Do not let it go. And so for the next 10 days, I wore it, and, it helped. I did some grounding, I did some breathing. When I got home, I put my feet in the earth, and, did a lot of meditation. But the point is, I got attacked, and it's because of the being so open. And that's part of the problem, is that you need boundaries. You need to be able to throw up spiritual boundaries, as well as physical boundaries, as well as mental and emotional boundaries, so all kinds of boundaries. And that's hard. um, let's see. Struggle boundaries. Let's see. Rouser and misuse. I'm not affected by large crowds, but smaller ones. A room more than 25, I've learned to bubble myself. Yeah. So I can't, like small, like large crowds. I get the thing is, in large crowds, I can pick up on energy, but that energy feeds me unless it's negative. If it's negative, I know really quickly. Um, and I usually don't do large crowds, not anymore, um, because of that reason. If it's negative, it will be a problem. Um, and so I've been to the World Cup. I can't go to the World Cup anymore. Too many people. I can't go where there's a large concentration of people in one specific place, like for an event. Like I can go to a concert, but with concerts, once again, I have to sit on the outer seat. So I can't sit in the middle. And movie theaters, like before, like we used to go to the movies. I have not been to a movie since COVID. But the movie, it was the same way. I couldn't, like, I can't sit in the middle, because like all of this, like I've learned that I need to have escape routes. So and in the smaller room, yeah, the smaller the room, the more chaotic the energy can be, honestly. Because it's like you're reading energy from a smaller amount of people. So you're picking up on everybody's energy. In a larger crowd, it's more synergistic. So but in a smaller crowd, like, it's so individual, and it can be a pain in the ass. It's almost like hearing voices, like everyone's voice. It's, like if every single person was talking out of that 25 person group and each person had a different pitch voice, that's the kind of way you'd feel the energy. It's frequency. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I think you're right about that. Okay. Hold on. Bestie is going to bed. It is 8:58. Let me see, girl. Damn. Y'all, my bestie, like I love her. She's wonderful. We've been besties for years. We've known each other since we've been 16. Um, but girl, and for everybody else who's not girls in here, so I'll just say peeps. Peeps, fucking my bestie just has like poor taste in men, like poor, like men friends and men lovers, like just men in general. She has just poor taste in men. Um, and it's rearing its ugly head again. So I feel bad for her, but she's going to bed, so it'll be better tomorrow. Um, yes, yes, misuse. That is, yeah, that is like it can be a cone of protection, or like the way I do it is white light, and then purple light, and then blue light. And I have it surrounding me. And then I have the white light coming down and coming up and then coming around. And then I have purple light shooting up and down, out and around. Yeah. So I continue to work on that. I'm not the best. I'm not going to say I'm number one. That's not even close. I'm just a person who happens to. And here's the thing. I say this, that uh, okay, you're back. Wonderful. I say this that everybody has, and it's like some hoo that hoo that people hear, but everybody has abilities. It's not that people don't have these abilities. It's that people may not be in tune to them. And you can tune yourself in, and you can practice to make these abilities a little bit stronger. Now, yes, true, there are people who have abilities that are naturally stronger, and that's okay. That's okay. Like my abilities, like are somewhat natural. Like I have been told all my life, and immediately by once I started getting psychic readings, immediately I have been told pretty much the same thing by every psychic I've been to, every single psychic. And I have psychic friends, but before they knew me, they read me. I've had a psychic squish. Before he knew me, he read me and he told me exactly how our relationship was going to go. And he told me exactly how he thought it was going to end, but he said he wouldn't tell me until right before it was going to end. And he did tell me, and it ended exactly how he said. That lock is getting ready to break. Shit. Yeah, that lock right there. It's going to break right there. God damn it. Ugh. Okay. Um, Yeah. So I don't know. Let's see what else. Um, Definitely audio. Okay. Okay. Yes. 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 Above average hearing. Yes. I hear constant. Yes. Yes. Okay. Indeed. Like that's kind of funny because I'm hearing a ringing in my left ear right now. Yeah, I do. Yes, I have ringing, ear ringing, and this is so funny because I have not really talked to many people outside of psychics, and intuitives. And there are some people who call themselves self psychics. I know people who just would rather say intuitives because that's really what they are. That's what they are. Now there are mediums, and I definitely know mediums, but like these are like my closest friends in that realm are would call themselves intuitives. And like I said, they've all said the same thing, that and my even my Baba has said the same thing. All these spiritual routes and routes I've taken have said the same thing, and that's I've got this gift, and it's kind of powerful, and so on and so forth. Um, oh shit, misuse, me and you. Um, yeah, it's kind of wild. It's definitely kind of wild. A is like you just gotta chill. And now I'm like all tripping on like the 12 dimensions that I think have been discovered by quantum physics, and um and the fact that that whole "there is no spoon" is true. But the fact that in the 12, it might be 12 or 11, I don't remember, the 12 or 11 dimensions, we live on each plane, but in different timelines. So when you have a glitch or a deja vu, what you've really done is glitched into another timeline. Yeah. First time I've seen you, instant connection. Yes, 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 yes. So it's kind of funny that you were not the first person to say that. You were not the first person to say that. It's not. It's not even funny. It's kind of like okay, yeah. No, you were not the first person to say that. I get it all the time. Not the past lives part thing, but the being able to tell that and intuitive, that happens all the time, especially from people who are intuitive. Other people just they can't tell. They may just think I'm happy, or or just like scowling sometimes, or like staying away, or yeah. But no, yeah, 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 yeah. It's kind of funny because I don't tell many people either. People don't like to hear that shit. They don't believe it. They're like, okay, now you're really fucking with me. And I'm like, well, okay. And part of it is I don't know 100% if I'm right. I just have to wait for um, information download, and I have to, I can feel it, but I can't be 100 until shit happens, and then once shit starts popping off, then I know I'm right. But in that instance, like when I have that split, so I don't know if I told y'all this, like I don't know if y'all were on the call when I talked about this just a couple nights ago, but there's this uh there's this thing um for clairsentience. And clairsentience is being able to pick up on energy, feeling, uh, frequencies, colors, because colors are frequencies. And so basically what they did was they said, close your eyes, we're going to hold up a card. On the back of the card, it's a color and a shape. So um, first of all, you can open your eyes and look at the front of the card that's facing you. So, I did that. Um, I don't care what it was. If I share, if they connect, they do no fuck them. Yes, yes, that's yeah. But the card trick that it goes is, so you look at the front of the card, and then you close your eyes, take like 5 to 10 breaths, and then open your eyes again, and then close your eyes one more time, and then you tell the color of the card on the other side. Well, the first thing that hit my head was a sharp green pow, like right here. And then it enveloped to right here. But the sharpness was here. And I don't want to say warmness, but it was almost like a dull type of feeling. Um, and it was green. The color was green. Now I didn't get the shape right. Yeah, visualization techniques. Yeah, so there is something called there's a way that you can develop this, and oh my goodness, I forget how it's called. Um, but there's a way. There are many different ways that you can, but there's a specific way that I've used in the past, that allows you to kind of feel color. And that's what I can do is I can kind of feel color. And so that's I got both colors right. I did the colors twice. Now on the second one, I got the color and the shape right. But on the first one, I didn't get the shape right at all. I was way off. Now, to be fair, so but the second color was red, and the shape was a triangle. So yeah, I got that one. Yeah, so like it's just it's more of me trying to attune right now and elevate, practice, and also stay grounded as well as humble, because this was put on me for some reason, and I feel like in helping people who need help, I can kind of sense that, and I allow them to come to me. I allow them to open up. I allow them to dump what they need dumped, because I can, I've got boundaries now, and I've got like physical and spiritual boundaries up, that I've practiced. So yes, yes, visualization techniques, totally get it. Practice, yes. Grateful, definitely, absolutely grateful. And trying to stay humble and in the understanding that these gifts, everything happens for a reason. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And in this lifetime and on this plane of existence, I have these gifts. Now, on another plane of existence, I may not, and I may be a different age, which is kind of trippy too. Like, and the other thing that's really trippy, it just keeps on like it keeps on getting more and more trippy. Like this whole thing is like crazy. I can't even, yes, as above, so below. Yes. But the thing that trips me out even more is that I am leaning on a desk that really is not motherfucking here. I am talking to you on a laptop on a camera that is really not here. And this light right here, not here. This these not real. Um, that is that is the trippiest thing I have ever heard. That this stuff is not, none of this stuff is real. Yet our mind makes it real. Yes, it's the Matrix. People think that that story is like some kind of made up story. That story is not made up. And as a matter of fact, there's been a fight that's gone on for years, even though the Wachowski sisters won um, in court. There's a woman who wrote a book beforehand, and there's some crazy shit in that, and I don't know. I do. I I have to sometimes back away from all of it, because it does become like conspiracy theory type stuff. And it's not conspiracy theory, it's true, but like it's too much depth, like I can only handle so much at one time. Because like just consuming all that, can. Yes, we live many existence simul. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. People laugh at me when I say shit like that. They're like, okay, this person is crazy. And I'm like, but no, I'm not really all that crazy. Oh God. But yeah, so um Yeah, yeah. So egg has similar abilities, and she trips out because we just be like reading each other left and right. And that is how that is one way our relationship has lasted as long as it has, because in reading each other we know how to give each other the space, like not just like, let me sit here and not talk to you space, but like let me just get the fuck way out of your way space, you know let me let's see, congratulations lady, Joe, boo, boo, boo. Congratulations though, seriously. I they won If they won, congratulations, that's awesome. South Carolina came in second, so unfortunately they lost, but you know what, my big thing is Azzy Fudd did not get um her wonderful going away present of winning another title. That's okay. She won one, and that's better than not winning any. And she's going pro, and she's going to make a shitload of money, and she's going to be able to be with her girlfriend. So that's even better. I like it. I like it a lot. And by the way, her girlfriend is really cool. Now, I'm not like macking on 20-year-old girls. That's not what I'm doing. I just like the fact that she's blackety black, a white blackety black girl. Like she's down, and I like that. Paige is pretty cool. Um, as are most of the women in the not NW, in WNBA, the W. Love all the women, and mainly because I like lesbians, and there are a lot of lesbians, a lot of queer people in the WNBA and in women's sports all around. And I'm down for that. Like, I'm sure there are a lot in men's sports too, but they just can't come out because of their toxic masculinity, that in the sports world in general. But for women, they're just like, hell yeah, let me kiss my girlfriend after scoring the winning goal in the World Cup. Let me take off my shirt and run around the field. Like, I love women's sports. I have been watching women's sports for so long, especially women's football, soccer, not hand egg, but soccer, football. So I've been watching women's football since, well, as long as I've been playing. So that was like, I started playing when I was 3, and I was playing with the girls. And like when I wasn't playing with the girls, I was watching girls play. And then I just kept on watching like girls soccer, like in North Carolina and Anson Dorrance, I remember their dominance. Yeah, I used to watch, and I guess on the men's side too. No, Anson Dorrance was on the women's side. The North Carolina men were pretty good, I follow football. Yeah, love me some women's sports. Love, love, love. Yeah. Um, and I love the competition that women have. And there's this beautiful picture. There are a lot of beautiful pictures that come out of like World Cups and such, especially the Women's World Cup, and any of the big women's tournaments, because women will on from other teams will console each other, and it's so sweet. Like, men will do it too, like, but it's just not, you know like, and don't get it twisted, men like leave it all out on the field too, and like there are a lot of tears. Like, football is a passionate sport. It is passionate. It's just not passionate in the United States. Here's the thing: if we put all of the motherfucking people who are playing basketball, football, all that, and put them into a soccer program, we would have the best football team in the world. In the world. There is no doubt in my mind. If we made football accessible to everyone, that means lower the costs of having to play, lower the cost of having to travel, lower the cost of having to join a team. like they do in the rest of the world. Like, start them off at academies as youths, teach them as they grow up and allow them to advance, like let's make this a real footballing nation. Um, as you can see, the only time I am passionate about the United States, and I'm sorry for the people who are passionate about the United States, the only time I'm passionate about the United States is soccer, football, and that is it. Um, yeah, and I'm sorry about that. You remember when school sports were free? Yes, yes. Yeah, school sports were free. I do remember that. Now, when I was playing in high school, I did have to sell Vidalia onions. It's the thing in Atlanta, in Georgia. Um, and we had to go door to door selling Vidalia onions. I was like, fucking Girl Scouts of Vidalia onions. Like I had to go door to door, and that was crazy. But I was like, okay, I did it, whatever. Never doing that again. For a summer, I worked as a canvasser for an environmental agency, and never will I do that again. They dropped me off in the whitest neighborhood, the whitest, richest neighborhood in Atlanta. And I'm like, all right, so I'm supposed to walk around here for a full day. And so I did it, but like people were looking at me strange. And now this was before I transitioned. So, they were looking at what appeared to be a 6'1" black guy with a long beard and, a bald head. So I looked pretty intimidating. But I really wasn't intimidating. I was, I was, you know, hiding, as it were. But for them to see me, how prejudice and racism rears its ugly head at the worst times. So I promised myself I would never do something like that again, and I haven't. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, not yeah, nowadays, no. It seems to be more dangerous nowadays because there are so many laws to where you can shoot first, and get off, like i.e. Kyle Rittenhouse and the first punk, whatever his name is. I can't even remember his name. That's how much of a dick he is to me, and like he should be. I should remember his name because he took someone's life, and he got off scot free, and he made fun of it, and he made money off of it, and now he's unhoused, and I shouldn't laugh at him for that because I could become unhoused very quickly. But I would say that he got the day he deserved. Yes, you do. Yes. um, but yeah, door to door, it's not something, unfortunately, it was something back then that a lot of people did. It was a little bit safer, but like depending on the neighborhood, and depending on the affluence, for a person of a different color, and especially for a black person, and especially for a black person who looked like a guy, and especially for a black person who looked like a guy, a menacing guy, being dropped off in a white neighborhood of affluence is, was pretty stupid of them. I don't think they were really thinking that one through. And honestly, I didn't think that one through either. So like poo poo on me. No. Um, but that was a long time ago. That is like in my past. Like, and it's kind of funny. Like I say, people in my past don't know me. They do not know me. People think they know me, but they don't know me. Like anybody from high school, there's only one person from high school who knows me, and that's my bestie. Everybody else who think they know me from high school, no, they don't know anything about me. Like it's kind of funny because queer people, it's like queer people, we lose, for a lot of queer people, we lose like 10 to 30 years of our life living because we are in the closet, you know, and those years, that we've missed are painful, So yeah, even though I've come out and I'm transitioning and I have transitioned and I can continue to transition, um, I can never get those years back. I can't go back to 16 and have, my first date with, hopefully a girl, because that's how I always envisioned it, a girl, and, you know, um, go to prom, and, all these things that I didn't get to, that I didn't get to experience. I can't get that back. But so that's the whole thing, that like the queer people lose all of this. And we try to make up for it in a short amount of time. But that's why if you see a trans woman who is not passing, and we know she's not passing, and that is okay. She is still a woman. Um, if you see her with outfits that don't match, like too short mini skirts, a lot of makeup, because I look at me, like my makeup game is not on point yet. Because I stopped for a long time and I'm like just getting back into it. But if you see a woman who is trans and is wearing clothing that looks like she should be 19, 25, whatever, you know, understand that she's going through second puberty. She is using this opportunity because she did not get this opportunity when she was younger. And that is a big thing. Um, yeah, I don't talk to anyone from high school. Um, I don't have any friends anymore. I have one friend that's my bestie. Um, and of course I have Egg, who's my best friend. And then I have my bestie. Um, so like my bestie is like I've known my bestie longer than I've known Egg. Let me put it to you like that. Now, at one point I had a crush on my bestie, but like not anymore. Like, that's just we're just besties now, like besties. Um, You had many trans friends in school. That's great. Like in high school, I did not know any trans people. In college, I did not know any trans people. Um, I didn't really know any trans people, to be completely honest. I don't think I saw the first time I saw a trans person IRL in real life was in 2002. Um, Yeah, it was in 2002. Um, I had heard, yeah, first time I saw a trans person in real life was 2002. And then, so that's what put me on my search. Although at that point, I didn't know she was trans. I just knew um, that I was clocking her. Let me put it to you like that. Um, you have a bestie, but she lives 5 states away. Oh, that's too far away. I understand that though. My bestie lives like 12 minutes away from me. I mean, and like it's clocked 12 minutes. So we are there for her if she ever needs us. We take care of her kids all the time. Like they call us, we're like their aunts. So um, aunts. I'm like an uncle or something like that. I'm like mix. Oh, I almost said my name. Um, let's see. I have Bestie, which she's trying to say. So I sold candy as a child. I had to talk fast and make problems. I would never make promises I never keep. As I backed out the door, creepy old. Or helping my brother serve the newspaper and throwing it up in people's yards because I cannot stand the heat. Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, heat. Woo. So heat. I fucking hate the heat. I mean, okay, so I like the heat, but like once it starts getting Georgia heat, like in June and July and August, especially July and August, that's a little too much. It's the humidity. It's the heat, yes, but the humidity just it's oppressive. Let's see. No, no, I mean now. Okay. My first trans friend, he was much older. I met when I was a senior in high school. I worked with her then. Okay. You worked with her. Make promises, not problems. Yeah, I caught that, Rouser. Um, So yeah, like I first I saw the Jerry Springer trans people, and I didn't. That was not what I thought I was. Little did I know that was internalized trans uh, phobia and internalized trans misogyny, all wrapped into a nice little neat bow. So I had to kind of work that out of my system and understand that while I didn't think I those were the kind of people I was, that doesn't mean they're any worse or I'm any better than them. And that was something I had to work out, honestly, because and that's embarrassing to say, that like I had to work out that yeah, I am not better than them because I am not that kind of trans, and that is something that unfortunately is in the community, especially when you have passing privilege. I have never had passing privilege, so I've never had to worry about that. But for people who do have passing privileges, and that's kind of disgusting. So we're not going to go into how the reasons why that's disgusting. But for people who do have passing privilege, they sometimes, I'm not going to say all the time, but sometimes will look back on trans people and say, well, you're not doing enough, you're wearing your makeup too gaudy, you've got to do it like this. You got so basically start gatekeeping trans people, gatekeeping the community they're a part of, which doesn't make any sense. So um, I don't know how I got on that. You understood you grew up in DC. DC, I love DC. Love DC. Big fan of DC. I've got a girlfriend who lives, well, she doesn't live in DC anymore. She did, but the okay, where is the Adams Hill? Wait, what's it called? The Adams Hill district, or maybe that isn't in DC. Maybe that was in Virginia. I don't know. She lives in DC. She lives in DC proper now, actually. Yeah, she lives in DC proper. Um, Yeah, yeah, it's yes, yes. That while that is true, um, it is it is harder said than done. Like I try. Let me put it to you like that. I try, and let me give you the perfect example. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up because um, I don't know if I want to say these words. I'm gonna. I do not usually say words like this. I'm just telling y'all right now, um, because I just don't. It's not that I can't. It's that I just don't. Um, so I'm going to read to you a comment because there's not many people in here. There's only 8 people in here. I'm going to read to you a comment. Uh, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I posted a clip on YouTube that said white people want black culture, but don't want to be black. That's how I left it. And I thought nothing of it because, it is all true. Like, and for all the white people in here, I'm not saying y'all are all bad people, but like without black creativity, this place would not run. Because like words like woke, like that started in fucking queer black spaces that then went to cis het black spaces, then went to like from cishet women black spaces, and then went to like cishet men, black men, and then moved on up the food chain, so to speak. It's simply same thing like boy bands, NSYNC, uh, Backstreet Boys, the K-pop bands right now, BTS, whatever they are, the Strange Kids, Stray Kids, Strange Kids, Stray Kids, whatever they are. These are all based on a Black American setup that people just don't want to admit that they're just ripping off. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Yeah, that's a story for another day. And Anacostia. So I don't know that Southeast DC and Anacostia. Okay. But Adams Hill is in Northwest DC. My friend lives in DC right now. I don't know what part. She gave me her address, but she lives in DC proper. I don't know uh, where she's. No, I just don't know where, so I can't be specific. So um, here we go, guys. You ready? And I shouldn't say guys. Here we go, peeps. So testing, testing. Okay, here are the words. Oh yeah. So let me just explain this first of all. I went to bed thinking nothing of it. Woke up the next day to about 20 comments that were the most vile, disgusting comments I have seen in a long, long time. And I get these kind of comments just about every day. So this comment, this particular comment, this was the first one I saw. So I thought it was extra special. You know, it's got a lot of spice. It says, "You're an ingrate nigger faggot tranny. You don't deserve to exist." That was the very first one I saw. And they were all like that. All of them. 20, you know. And I was just like, okay, delete, 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 block, 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 block. The problem is not that I couldn't block it or that, you know, it bothers me or whatever, because unfortunately I'm desensitized to it, and that's the unfortunate part, because I've heard it so much, I've seen it so much. But that's the point, is they want you to see it. And so it doesn't matter if you see it and then delete it and block them, or if they see, or they know they see you see it and they go ahead and block you before, because that happens to me all the time on Substack. Somebody will leave a fucking shitty comment like that and then block me. So when I go to block them, they'll be like, there's nobody by this name. Um, so, yeah, it was just, it was an explosion. I was like, okay, I guess you really don't like me, but you don't know me. You just don't like me. I was like, okay. So, yeah, what I did was turn that into a poem. It was kind of fun. I showed my family, because my family just didn't know how much abuse I get. They're just not really hip, like, I keep on saying that, things about queer people is that one of the things is that their families just don't know about them, about their lives. They may know about them being queer, and there are families who are accepting. And so I'm not saying all families, not at all. That is not what I'm saying. But I am saying there are a lot of families that do not know about their queer kids, the lives of their queer kids. So, like, what I'm doing is, just since I've been in these episodes, I was in a manic episode where I was just like just letting shit fly. And my parents were like, "What the absolute fuck? Why are you telling us this? You should not be telling us this." And I was like, "Well, I'm just trying to be honest. So, because I was just like, if you want to know shit, I'm gonna give it to you full and no filter. Here it comes. So, I sent them this little thing, this late last night. No, so I saw it yesterday morning. Um, so last night I sent it to them and sent it to the group chat, like our family's group chat. And like immediately shit started blowing up. Like my sisters were like, "What the fuck?" My mom was like, "Oh my God." And my mom's like, "How do you live? How are you gonna live?" And I'm like, "Mama, this is something that I have been living with for years now. Like, y'all don't understand. It's like, so yes, it was good for trans people from like when I came out in 2015, there was no problems. Like trans people were non-existent. Like nobody cared about us, and all the way up until the pandemic and through, nobody gave a fuck about us, you know. And then all of a sudden, like we just became this like huge political agenda and like genocide type thing. It's just, but that being said, I forget where I go. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. The comments are vile, and I get them on Substack. I get them on Facebook. I get them on Instagram. You know, um, Instagram and Facebook are nice enough to like kind of filter them out, which is amazing because I can't imagine like Mark Zuckerberg doing anything like that. But yeah, that's where we are now. Substack is like one of those so-called free speech things, and I get away with it because I say a lot of shit on Substack. Maybe I shouldn't. Like Donald Trump is a motherfucking cunt, something like that. But and if it gets to him, it gets to him. I hope he shits his pants over it, and that's not a problem shitting your pants because I've done it myself. I have Crohn's disease, but I really hope he does in the White House or on the press conference. Let him feel the full weight of that embarrassment. And I hope he has the day he deserves. That is what I should be saying. Smiles, hugs, and kisses. No. Um, Sorry, I just went on a rant. I know. So I'm going to go ahead and, I know Misuse understands this, so I'm like, just real quick. Okay, just put that back down. Um, so that was the basis of a poem I did, and it's a poem. I tried to do three different versions, three different writing styles. I tried to do an iambic pentameter poem, a haiku, and an epigram. the the iambic pentameter failed miserably. Like, can't even do it. Like I tried. Uh, Thank you so much, Misuse. Yes, I had to just take a little hit, now and again. But yeah, so the iambic pentameter, I just not good at all. The haiku, I think I did a good job. The epigram, was not very witty, but that's okay. It was good. So all in all, I was good with that. I what I did was I turned something negative into something negative where it was said you shouldn't exist to I turned it into something positive, about spreading more love. Um, and so at the end of the day, I was happy with how I handled it. Because I could have, and I have before spiraled, gone off of an edge where self harm and suicide is certainly possible. So, and yeah, it happened recently. It happened within the last 2 months. So, I'm not going to say I'm impermeable, but it does not happen all the time. It, oh, from smoking weed or from smoking cigarettes. Now, probably oral and tongue cancer, I assume that's from smoking anything. That would make sense. I'm sorry about that, Rouser. Yeah, I've been smoking since I was 17. Nothing yet, but both. Okay, both. Okay. Yeah, I've been smoking weed since I was 17. I started smoking cigarettes at 16, but I stopped smoking cigarettes at 32. And have been smoking weed. Now, there was a point where I stopped smoking weed. I had to for um, rehab, and I was clean after rehab for like I don't know 6 or 7 months. Enough time for my my piss test to come clear. And once it came clear, I just started smoking again, because I didn't have to take another piss test. So, and also because I left that therapist because he was a jackass. And that was the first therapist I had after was outed. So he was not the best therapist, at all. So I had to get away from him. Yeah, both. My sister, since she was 13, she is now 74 and had 74 is still young. So I hope that she is okay. Excuse me while I adjust myself. 74 is young. I hope that she will be okay. Um, I, cancer is a bitch. It's, fuck cancer. My mom had breast cancer. You know, it runs in my family. It skipped both me, my sisters. um, because my sister did one of the gene tests, I guess, just to be sure for all three of us. Chemo and surgery. Yeah, same with my mom. Yeah, chemo and surgery. Um, and mastectomy. Wow. Yeah, mastectomy, not double, just single. Um, Quit smoking cigarettes when you got pregnant. Yeah, son, over 30 years ago, weed I stopped when I served in the Navy. Now that I don't have to piss for anyone, I get to smoke every day. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like so misuse. Why did you go into the Navy? And this is an honest question. I just need to, like, as someone whose dad was in the Army, I never had the desire to go into the military. Um, I felt it was oppressive, and I felt like anybody trying to tell me what to do for 20 years of my life, um, that would be a problem. Like, people still have to tell me what to do, but I just can't, I am not the type of person who takes authority like that. Your mother passed away with malignant breast cancer. I'm sorry, Rouser. Yeah, that's rough. Cancer really is a bitch, and I I wonder. I have to wonder about the healthcare system in general, because doesn't Cuba have some type of um, treatment for cancer, like a cure? I don't know, like something Cuba has that people go there for medicine, because apparently, they have stuff that the United States just won't legalize. And I don't know if that's because it's supposedly not studied, or it's just that they can't find a way to get a big enough profit, which is probably more the case. Let's see. Miss Hughes joined after high school, a way for me to get away from my shitty home. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That tracks. That definitely tracks. Military gave you independence and a way to pay for college. That tracks, because that's, my dad had a good family life, but he also needed money. Like, they were dirt poor. Um, and so he needed money to go to college and something to do with his life other than, live on the farm that his generations of parents had, of ancestors had done before him. So he was like, I got to get off the farm. And he went into the military, did 22 years, came out full bird, in the Army, went to be an OBGYN, then delivered 4,000 babies, over 4,000 babies. We were talking about this today, because it was my sister's birthday, and he delivered all three of us. Shit. I didn't think he delivered stuff. I didn't think he delivered my younger sister, but he did. Um, so he delivered me and both of my sisters, which I thought was illegal, but apparently it isn't, because he did it. Yeah, so like, he was called the samurai surgeon, because, like, people loved him anyway. And then he went to theology school, and theology school, and got a doctorate in theology. Now, that being said, I was the big hope of the family. I was the one who was the genius. I was the smartest of the family. I was going to be the great hope. I was going to be running the world. And, you know, my parents at one point, my dad, as a matter of fact, said, it's a shame that you didn't fulfill uh, your abilities. And I was like, okay, well, I appreciate that, and just kept it pushing. Um, yeah. So, but my sisters each have like higher degrees. It's just like, it's all fucked up. And I know now why I couldn't do any of this. I instinctively knew in high school that I wouldn't be able to finish college. It was an instinct. And now I know exactly why. It's because of my episodes of bipolar disorder. It was because of the gender dysphoria, and it was because the Crohn's disease. Yes, because I was diagnosed when I was in college the second time. Um, but not so much that it was the ADHD. You know, that's what it was, the executive functioning, and that wouldn't allow me to do the things I needed to do. Apparently, I'm smart enough. So people tell me, and so I actually think like I'm smart enough to finish school. I used to just do papers like the night before, 20-page papers, get A's on them, study for a test the night before, get an A on it, not study for a test, study and then get an A on it. That's how I used to do my work. And to a certain extent, that's how I still do my work. Like I don't when I sit down to write, I don't have a discipline. I don't have like where I will get up at like 9, write for 3 hours, and then call it a day. I get up and do this other shit that I do, which is a schedule. And then my day goes from there. And the problem is like if I have an appointment, and I have a lot of doctor's appointments. So if I always try and schedule my appointments early in the morning, because if I have an appointment anytime after like 12, my day is ruined because I'll just have to wait for that appointment before I can do anything else. And that's a problem. Let's see. Let me pop into the comments here. Your mom and step dick, yeah, were verbally abusive, and my best friend's dad was, God, I'm sorry. Yeah, so yeah, that's horrible. I'm sorry, misuse. I was never diagnosed with ADHD. I was labeled high strung or have, yeah. So yes, they always said I was disruptive towards classroom. Like, why can't you be quiet? Why do you always have to disrupt the class? And then later it was, why are you so aggressive? And I was like, it was not, I mean, it was because I wasn't getting the help I needed. Like now I know people who, I mean, I know personally people who are in school who are getting accommodations because they either have autism, I mean, or they're either autistic or they have ADHD or ADHD, which is not a real diagnosis just yet, only because the DSM-5 has been put out so long ago, but that's going to change with the DSM-5. Yeah, too chatty. I yelled a lot, so I had to go to speech therapy to practice my, I guess, how to talk like a person who's not going to yell. Um, yeah, so yeah, I was definitely a yeller. Too chatty, but like the whole not fulfilling I understand that if I understand right now that if I didn't have school loans, debt, that I'm never going to pay back, by the way. I don't give a fuck what they do. I'm not going to pay it back. I mean, that's thousands of dollars, and they keep on multiplying that shit. So even if I were to pay like $400 a month, it would take like 30, 40 years. And I don't care about like sending it in to try to get them to forgive my debt, because what that does is alerts them to the fact that I still have this debt. And as far as I know, um, nobody's come after me yet. They haven't garnished my wages. There's nothing on my credit report. So, even though the credit report's a piece of shit and is like this whole big piece of bullshit anyway, just as credit is. So yeah, the teacher yelled at me because I was talking while she was and asked me to repeat what she said, and I did word for yes. Yes. Yes, so that's hilarious. Yeah, yeah, like that's it's kind of funny because egg is different. Egg can't do two things at once, but like you, Misuse, I can listen in one ear to one thing and to another ear for something else. And so, like, and often in this room, what I'll be doing, and Egg's like, close your motherfucking door. just close it, put your headphones on. I don't want to hear this shit, but I'll be listening to a live on one screen and listening to music on another screen and surfing, Facebook or the web or anything. The Fediverse, for y'all who are not in the Fediverse, I am in the Fediverse too. And so I throw things in the Fediverse, and then in the Metaverse. Um, so yeah, I'm always doing pretty much three or four things at once. And I call it calm in the chaos. Because everything is chaotic around me, and in that chaos, is my, like you said, misuse my little bubble, and that little bubble is calm, and it's my protection. But I like everything. Hi, Rousey, you're back. Thank you. Yeah, so you can totally multitask. So I can multitask. Yeah, I'm a multitasker. I am. So the problem with my multitasking, and the problem with me anyway, is that, and I hate to say it, like, my quality is not good. Like, I do things too fast, and that may be a thing of my brain moving a little bit too fast. So when it comes to things that I don't want to do, like, I worked in a metaphysical shop, and in a metaphysical shop, you have crystals and candles and all these like little things that you have to label. And so we use these things called butterfly labels on the candles, the wicks of the candles, and like other items. Hey, Rouser, thank you for coming back. Your twins are always right. Yes. Um, yeah. So, yeah, the butterfly. So, things like task, I hate it. Hate it. I can't stand it. And Egg used to work at Ulta. She worked at Ulta for 13 years, did every single job there is to do at Ulta, except for be the vice president or the president, or of the company, the CEO. She was not, yeah, she was not any of those, but she was every other position. But she loved to do tasks. That was her favorite thing to do, was store sets and store plannings. She would relish like 6 hours of, putting like little stickers on little bottles of lipstick, little tubes of lipstick, or little bottles of nail polish or anything like that. And she would do it for like 6 hours to be happy. Now, me, like customer service, places where I can talk, places where I can connect, that's what I like. That's what I'm talking about. Energy is like feeling energy, connecting with people. That is why when I start, like, any type of friendship that I feel like, it's going to be an actual friendship, there will always be several deep conversations in the beginning, deep and intense conversations. And, like, that can be like 2, 3 hours a pop each time. And that's because if you can match energy with me, then we can do this. If you can't match energy with me, then we can't do this. And I need to know pretty much immediately, if my read is right. So yeah. uh, Ulta's fun. Like, Ulta's a lot of fun. Egg had a great time in it. She Now, of course, the bad side of Ulta is that it is retail, and retail is kind of, it's retail. Like, even though I worked in a metaphysical shop, it was still retail. And that's the thing. I've worked in bookstores most of my life, and it's retail. And that part of like book world I couldn't understand. No, I shouldn't say I couldn't understand. I just didn't like it. I'm not. Yeah, that's not my style. And then my Crohn's was really bad, so I worked from home, and I worked in like corporate settings for a while. And of course, like, corporate settings and me do not really go along at all. I am not a corporate setting type of person. My idea is not to work 50 hours a week for until I turn 65. That is not my idea of life, you know, at all. I don't think anybody should have to work 50, 60 hours a week. I don't think anybody should have to work 40 hours a week. Actually, I think anybody, like people, if they're going to work a full week, it should be 32 at max. Give people a chance to catch up with their lives. The fact that we have to work 40 hours a week at the very least in order to, well, 32 hours at least to get full time, and then 40 hours to get a full week, is crazy. And a lot of these people, like Egg often works over 40 hours. She's salaried, so anything over 40 hours, she doesn't get paid for. I'm like, bitch, why are you working? And she feels this sense of loyalty to this company. And I'm telling you, like, listen, Egg, this company does not give a fuck about you. They will drop you as quickly as they can. When the moment you become unnecessary to them, they will drop you. And that's the way it is for any company. They will just drop you. I don't understand this like loyalty to the company code. The loyalty should be to you and your family, your friends. Yeah, you can have good connections and good friends in workspaces, and that's how people make friends and meet wives and husbands and spouses and partners and friends, and enemies. I understand that, but what I don't understand is the idea that people believe that their company is like family. Because anytime any company has ever said that to me, I have just about run in the other direction. Because once I hear that, it's just it's like, no, no, no. I know what you're saying. What you're saying is that you want me to, if somebody else is fired, take on their position, do their work, and then hope I get a raise. And if I get a raise, then I have to do more work because you're going to give me more work. The how am I supposed to say this? The reward for hard work is more work. The reward for hard work is more work, over and over and over again. So that's not saying that you shouldn't put in any effort. I'm not saying that at all. But a paycheck is a paycheck, and like you put in the effort that you want to. Like there, I don't know. Like I am really on the irresponsible tip here. I know, but I just it's hard for me, and I don't know if that's my illnesses and what, or my neurodivergences, divergencies. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my mental makeup, and that I think that people are not meant to work all the fucking time. It just like it boggles my mind, and that is because I'm disabled, and I know it comes from a place of privilege in the sense that I don't have to work um, right now. And first of all, it's not that I don't have to work because I don't have to work and like because we got it like that. It's not like that. We don't got the bag like that. It's I don't have to work because I am in an episode. And if I go into work, it could get really bad. So, like really, I talk to y'all on this camera right here. And I keep my ass at home. Like I will go out like a little bit, but I don't really do shit. There's a reason for that because I have to not be in crowds, especially in this episode. Like Miss Hughes was saying, like we pick up on energy and no, 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 no. Um, no. Oh, you're going into law, Miss Hughes. I have zero desire to practice law. So you're like my sis. My sis actually got a law degree, was Juris Doctorate. I don't know how you say it. And she has not ever used it, ever, ever. Your desire to change policies for veterans and women's rights. That's great. That's great, Ms. Hughes. I argued law versus contract in what is WCINS collections. I'm not sure what that is, Rouser. The oligarchs care about money only. Why do you think they're building detention centers? Yes, so you can pay nothing. for anything small thing you want. Yes. Well, that's exactly what it is. Hi, Heather. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it's modern slavery. That's exactly what it is, and that's why that's why they still have the prison industrial complex. It went from enslaved people to people enslaved in prison. And the majority of those people in prison are black men. So they've just found one way to enslave black people, and treat them just as humanely as they have before. Maybe a little bit better. Come on, they'll give them some bread. Maybe let them live a little bit. So I don't know, shit. Yeah, work compensation insurance. Okay. You argued law versus contract and work compensation insurance collections. How was that, Rouser? So you argued law. So you are a lawyer then by trade? You obtained my degree in the okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Like I wish I could be, yeah, that is, I wish I could be like, I wish I had the desire to go into legal studies. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be black and white. And that's the one thing I need to realize is that I always think of law and like insurance as black and white, but like within that black and white, once you learn the black and white, you can then paint in the color. You know what I'm saying? So the black and white is the structure, but the actual content is the color. And that's how you move through those worlds. And I like that. Yeah. Um, uh, um, but okay. So I wanted to, I'm not going to read that. The 333 because that's a little long. I just don't want to read it right now. I'll read it another time. It's actually kind of fun. It's one of those things that you just don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of crazy. Let me just see if there's something short. I don't really have a lot of short stuff. I will read you an Edna St. Vincent Millay short if I can find that really quickly. I've got like 600 windows open. That is not it. 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 Oh, where is this? Hold on, y'all. I'm coming back, I promise. Oh, shit. Oh, well. Well, I don't know where it is. I'll look for it right now. There it is. I found it. Very, very nice. Poetry Foundation. And I can read this because one of the things I didn't know about poetry, and I should have known, is that, and this applies to, I guess, everything, is that poetry that is 70 years or younger after the poet dies that has been copywritten is copywritten for 70 years. Like it's not in public domain, so you can't use it. So everything that like, let's see, Maya Angelou, for example. Things that Maya Angelou does, like I don't think we're actually supposed to use those. They're not. They should not be in public domain unless she gave express permission. And if she gave express permission, I think that is the only way. So Edda St. Vincent Millay, this poem is from 1918, which means we're clear. So I can read these. This one. And so it is called First Fig by Edna St. Vincent Millay, one of my favorite poets of all time. Hi, Rose, you're back. Thank you for coming back. Yay! My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But my foes, and my friends, it gives a lovely light. And that's it. And to St. Vincent Millay, like perfect short poem, very descriptive of what is happening, and what is going to happen, you know. I love Edna St. Vincent Millay. Yeah, she's got some great poems. I've read a lot of hers. I'm not really down with the sonnets. I'm just like I've never been down with sonnets. And she wrote a lot of sonnets too. Um, Class tomorrow. Okay. Get to bed, Miss Hughes. Thank you. Have a great night. We'll talk later. Um, yeah. Uh, hey, Neuro D, what's up? Is on the porch going on? Do we have to hop over there? Yeah, NSA Vincent Millay is a great poet. Another great poet is David Tillinghast. He's my favorite poet, modern poet. And he is a poet. His brother's name is Richard Tillinghast, and Richard is probably the more famous of the two. So when you look up David Tillinghast, Richard Tillinghast comes up. But David has books that are out right now of poetry, and one book that is out of print, and it's called Women Who Run with Women Hoping for Rain and Other Poems. I just happened to find this book of poetry in 1989 at this bookstore called Oxford Books in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, I was just I was shifting my way through the poetry books. And Oxford Books had a vast poetry section. And I found this one book and I was just so entranced. And I remember the first two poems I read, and I remember just dissecting them and like going over them in my head and trying to figure them out. And they were beautiful. Um, oh, they canceled tonight. Oh, boo. Was it? I'm sure it was Lisa who may have been. Well, I don't know who's having a problem. I don't know. It's too bad though. Like we'll catch them. Oh, and they're not going to be on tomorrow night. Okay, so I'll have to catch them on Tuesday. Um, but yeah, so I wish that I could read probably more Edna St. Vincent Millay poems, but they go on and on and on. Lisa sick? Oh no. Okay. I'll have to tap in with her and make sure she's okay. So just give a little word. Um, you know, that's too bad. Um, I hope it's not too bad. I need to get a booby from her. Yeah, sure. Let me first of all, really quickly, what is tomorrow night? Monday? Yeah, 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 yeah. I could do that. What kind of poetry do you want to do? Like, yeah, what kind of poetry do you want to do, Nero D? Like, do you mean like read poetry? Because if you want to, you can pop on right now. We can do that unless you have a little something to do. I've got a little poetry that I can read. Yeah, come on through. Let me add you. Oh, no. Okay. Well, then, do you want me to cancel that? I can cancel it. Okay. Give me 5 seconds. One, two, three, four. I can cancel it. Do you want to read poetry tomorrow night? Not tonight. Okay, not tonight. Alrighty. Yeah, we can do it tomorrow. Just shoot me a back channel, and we'll chat about it. Yeah, I would love to. I'm feeling surprised that I'm actually uh, reading my poetry out loud because I just never have before. Part of it is that while I can see people, I can't really see people. So it makes it easier. Like I'm not really in a crowd. I'm not feeling people, and I'm not watching people stare back at me. So, it's pretty cool. I have no problem with that. So I can read. But yeah, Neuro D, hit me up back channel, and we'll discuss like getting together. Just want to let y'all know that me and Samantha Page will be, and I should say not Miss Mix Samantha Page, MX, she, Mix, MX, yep. Samantha Page and I will be live Thursday. We're going to do another 5 songs plus one for National Poetry Month. The plus one is going to be something that has to do with poetry. They said they were going to get me their list today. So I don't know what they're actually meaning by how it's going to represent poetry. I can come up with a bunch of different things that would represent poetry for me. But I don't know if they're talking about like slam poets or like slam artists or anything like that. So I will find out. But yeah, Thursday, I think it's going to be 6:30 PST, so that's like 9:30 my time, which is like a grip, but that's okay. I don't mind starting late, and I don't mind talking late because I just ramble anyway. Um, so yeah, Thursday, and of course Monday and Friday with Wendy the Druid. That's coming up. We'll be doing trauma talk, usually at 1, sometimes at 2, sometimes at 2:30. Anytime between 1 and 2:30 is when we start. Usually, um, that's always fun and informative. Um, and then I just pop on myself whenever I feel like it. I've been doing it more often because it's been a lot more fun. I just like it's been a way for me to in this episode to kind of like talk, because Egg is like, you need to go away from me and stop talking to me because I will just talk her ear off. Uh, oh, I'm sorry, Neuro D. Yeah, that sucks. Did you want to read tomorrow, or will you be able to? If you can, maybe we can do it tomorrow. Yeah. Um, just let me know, because I would be willing to. Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's do it. Just let me know, like who are we talking about? Because yeah, I don't mind, unless you're talking about like world class poets, and I'm gonna be like, shit, I can't read my stuff in front of them. Um, Oh, so I'm not a slam poet, to be completely honest. I am not there yet. I just read shit that I write, and it's like some of it's poetry and some of it's rambling. It just some of it happens to make its way into poetic form. Um, a lot of it does not. It's like free verse, blank verse, whatever you want to call it, free verse. I guess. I just I ramble. I make it into poetry, and it gets comes out as poetry. Um, yeah, I love it. I love it. I think it's great. I really do wish that, and it's not that I couldn't do it. It's just I would need to practice. And it's not something that I've really ever thought about in form of poetry. Like listening to it is cool. I've been listening to it for a long time. Um, I love slam poetry. I love it, but I just have never been interested in doing it myself. Um, I just like, I guess it was because like my poetry was so personal to me for so long, and I did not want to share it with anybody. Of course, a lot of it is, fear that you're just a bad poet, and nobody wants to be labeled the bloody awful poet. That is why I labeled that myself, so nobody else could really do that. So that way, whatever they say can't hurt me theoretically. Yeah. Um, Oh, it's the autoimmune thing? Okay. Like, so I have a lot of autoimmune issues myself. Um, Slam poetry is a style of poetry that is almost rhythmic in the way it is said. It is almost like sing song or hip hoppy, but certainly more than just um, what is that on a summer's day? How many characters? Like it's more than just like Shakespeare. It's more urban. It's got that urban delight. Think inner city, not inner city. Think like Philadelphia. Like this is what I think of when I think of slam poetry. I think Philly. I think New York City. I think A Town down. I think basically all the big places where there's a heavy black population, or a heavy mixed population that is not homogenized. So not just black, but mixed. A lot of different cultures, and that's where I think the best slam poetry comes through. Um, let's see. Let's see. What is slam poetry? I don't give a fuck. I shared my poetry upon request. Then I got subs from strangers. Oh, awesome! Yeah, that is awesome. It's not for everyone. Yeah, that's true. You have Graves' disease? Okay, yeah, I have Crohn's. Sorry about that, Rouser. A lot of the videos on button poetry are slam poems. Yeah, button poetry is pretty good. I have actually started submitting some of my poems for National Poetry Month to certain channels. Like all poetry. Um, there's another channel or another website I submitted like 2 or 3 poems to for National Poetry Month, and they were like, "Well, you'll hear from us by May the 16th or 15th." I was like, "Okay, that's a clip, but okay, sure, I'll wait. I have no problem waiting." Um, Nice. Like when I started on Substack, I knew Wendy, but like it was tangentially. I didn't know Wendy was actually on Substack. I started writing on Substack because I wanted a platform to start writing on. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything about Substack. One day I was just like, okay, let me hop on this thing called Substack. And I wrote a little post that said coming later or coming soon. And I didn't touch it for like 2 weeks. And then I started writing and I kept on writing you know and then like I kept on getting subscriptions, and it wasn't like thousands of people, it wasn't even hundreds of people. It was like the trickle down effect. One person, and then 3 people, and then 5 people, and now I'm at like 350 or some shit like that, 390, and that's not a lot of people compared to like Brandon or Miranda or Lisa or even you, Neuro D. I think you've got a grip too of like subscribers. Like but it's organic and it's growing. And if I were still on Substack, I think it would have grown even more, and I would have had even more of an opportunity to make more money. Now, with making more money comes the idea, the belief that you have to write more content in the vein of what your base wants to hear. And so that would be, unfortunately, that's kind of rough, unless you're an established writer, poet who can go in any direction they want to. You take a big chance on skipping around, and then you get trapped. And like for me, that would be a problem. Um, you booted to yesterday. You had around 500. I turned off notifications for new subs. Okay. Um, right on. Let's see. I'm not checking my typos. I am touch typing right on. See what I did here. Okay. So I turned off I turned off notifications for new subs. I think I have around 500. I booted 2 yesterday. Why did you boot 2? Like, were they uh, so like as I started with Substack, I started in October of last year. Um, and then in November I found out Wendy was on. And then I was doing lives with them starting in I don't know. Like I did start it in December. I started doing lives in November with them actually. So and at the same time I was doing my lives for my FFS. And then I was on break for my FFS, and Jinx was on. Jinx Delay. Jinx Delay. Jinx Delay. Jinx was on in my place, and I think Lisa was even filling in too. And Lisa still hops on, so she was on the last one. Lisa will be on from time to time. The only reason Lisa is not on all the time is because there's 5 people already, and that's the limit. If we could get one more, then Lisa would be on every single time that she was available. Because she does do political chat or whatever Wednesdays or Mondays or something like that. Um, 500 I booted. let's see, one was problematic, really. The other was tied to them. I don't want to do a public feud. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from all that. Like sometimes the racists and the transphobes and all that make me have to speak out. But you had to refund because one was a paid sub. Yeah, but it's worth it. You're right. You're right. Your sanity is worth it, and money is not worth your sanity. So there's a lot of people who will do a lot for a lot of money, and I am not one of them. I am not one of them. There's a limit to what I'll do for money. Now if it's a lot of money, that limit may jump up a bit, but it's not going to jump up high. I will do, like, now if it's money that will allow Egg to not have to work anymore and allow her to be able to concentrate on her art, yeah, I may have to do something about that, because that's what I want. Um, uh, Nerdy, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Like as writers, there are not a lot of, okay, once again, I'm generalizing. So let me back up and say, I don't think there are a lot of writers in the beginning who write to be like, yes, I'm going to be famous and I'm going to be rich. That is the hope one day that I'm going to be famous for my work. Um, it may not be necessarily that I'm going to be rich because as writers, like, okay, so I'm a writer, and as a writer, my first thought is not that I'm going to be rich. And maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. Maybe my first thought should be that, okay, my writing is going to sell and it's going to help me make some money to stay afloat and to have Egg have a better life so she doesn't have to work as hard. Maybe that's the right mindset because really, what is everything? It's what you put your mind to. Like once you start thinking negatively, then that's how the process happens, and then that's what it becomes negative. So your thought is you think you think your world into existence. I just can't think my world into that existence. But yeah, I'm trying. Like I would love to be able to write and break even. I would love to even make a little bit more money, by writing. Um, Being on Beehive is a blessing and a curse. The blessing for me is that I don't have to deal with Nazis or white supremacists or conservative Christians. I have not had any of that at all. On the Substack, I had it every day. So that has been drastically cut down. Now, the problem with this is that I lost 6 subscriptions in the transfer and paid subscribers. I didn't have a lot of paid subscribers. I had 6, and they all went over with me on the transfer, but something happened that the payment stopped. So I had to stop all payments on Substack and send them all to Beehive. As a result, people don't check out my Beehive page. And, I hate that. But, like the only way I make money on my Beehive is like if people click on the ads. And the thing about the ads is that it doesn't hurt anybody's laptop or computer. It doesn't send bugs. It doesn't do anything like that. It's not going to multiply. It doesn't do anything like that. You just click on the ad. You don't even have to read the motherfucker. You can just click on it, let it open, go back to the thing you're reading on my page. And, when you're done reading it, go back to the ad and close it. That'll give me like $1.30. It's not a lot. It's not a lot really. But for each ad that's clicked on, I get like $1.50, $1.30. And so in the last 2 months, I have made exactly $30. Yeah. So yeah. Uh, um, yeah. So if y'all ever want to go to my website, it's OnyxRose.net. It's pretty easy to find, OnyxRose.net. It's all purple and shit like me, um, purple and pink and black. Um, It's got some cool colors. It's OnyxRose presence, not permission, which is what it says on my Substack account. But that's not actually my Substack. My real OnyxRose presence, not permission, is my OnyxRose.net, and that's my Beehive account. That is the Wendy the Druid crew, the Gathering, where I write with. See who I can name all these people really quick. Brandon is so gay. Um, the poet Miranda, uh, theoretically Kara, uh, Wendy, the druid, of course, Sarah, the all around Sarah, the shenanigator. Um, who else are we looking at here? Wendy Parker, who I'm sure y'all know Wendy Parker. Wendy Parker, the other Wendy, not Wendy the Druid, but Wendy Parker, um, and possibly Kryn, maybe Neuro D. I don't know if Neuro D was coming over. Never heard of Beehive. So Beehive is primarily a newsletter type of thing. And newsletters primarily they come out once a week, or like daily. Like Wendy does daily newsletters. So they come out at a specific time each day. And you can expect daily updates on news, deep dives, so on and so forth. She has it broken down into little stations or like little parts that you can read, links that you can go to other articles, so on and so forth for deeper dives. I was trying to do that where I had something coming out every Tuesday. And that would break down like the week's news, some positive trans news, some music that I was listening to, some quotes that I really thought were vibing for the week. And I did it like 3 times, maybe 4 times. And then I was like, you know what? This is once again, it's that whole thing that's always bitten me in the ass, and that's like schedules and like authority and so the schedule thing is what got me this time. I can't write a newsletter like that. But yeah, it's newsletter. It's not necessarily built for websites so much, it's built more for newsletters, but people use it as a website. And Sarah uses it as a website. So does Wendy. Wendy has a website. Wendy's website, by the way, is thistleandmoss.com, and Sarah's is thistleandfern.org. Mine is onyxrose.net. Y'all know Brandon's. Brandon's is brandonelrich.substack.com. And then everybody else. The poet Miranda's is thepoetmiranda.com. And the other 3 people's I don't know. I don't know if Kryn's coming through on the gathering. Neuro D, I don't know if you were coming through either. Not sure. But Beehive is. I know Neuro D, you're in our Signal group. But Beehive is like I said, it has its pluses and it has its minuses. I do like Substack. I am not part of this. I am not part of Wendy's not total. Wendy's like little issue that's going on Substack in terms of like Blue Amp and all of that. I don't know anything about that's going on, but I do know um, that unfortunately I can't write on Substack anymore. And like I wish I could write any place I wanted to, but when you come over to like because what happened is Wendy bought a bunch of instances, and I am on one of Wendy's instances, which is actually one of Sarah's instances. So I'm under Sarah, and it's a free account, so I don't have to pay for it. And that's huge. I didn't have to pay to build it out. I don't have to pay to keep it up. So in terms of saving a lot of dollars, that's what's going on. And like everything that I write is mine, of course. So I like that too. And that's how it is on Substack. Everything you write is yours on Substack, copyrighted. Um, I bought the domain for the Misfits Muse, but I don't know how to build. Yeah, so that's yeah, like free tutorials you can use. So space, hold on, Squarespace, thank you. Squarespace, I have like 6 domains, and Squarespace is where all my domains are housed. OnyxRose.net was a domain, it was my own domain, so I just transferred it over to Sarah's Beehive. um, so that is actually my domain. I do pay for my domain. It's $20 a year. And I have 6 of them, 6 different ones. I have like 3 different Onyx Rose accounts, domains, and I actually have 7. So I have 3 Onyx Rose, I have 3 of another, and then 1 of another one. Um, and I'm buying up all the Onyx Rose ones, but there is one I can't get. There's another Onyx Rose out there, and that person has onyxrose.com, or somebody has it. I don't know who has it. I've been trying to do like searches for who has it, and I can't find out anybody who has that account. I can't get Onyx Rose on Substack. I had to use Onyx Rose 9. I couldn't even use Onyx Rose on Proton. I had to use Onyx Rose 9. Like even um, like on Instagram. Like, so somebody has my name. And yeah, I'm saying somebody has my name. I don't have their name. Somebody has my name. And they're creeping on the come up. But they don't have, like, because I have onyxrose.org and onyxrose.net and one more Onyx Rose, onyxrose.me, I think. And Yeah, I'm trying to slurp up all the Onyx Roses so people can't fuck with my brand. Um, yeah. Hey, Joe. Thanks for popping. Um, couldn't get Version Hodgepodge on TikTok, but yeah, it is just as well. So I was Onyx Rose 9.5 on TikTok, because I couldn't just get Onyx Rose. I was Onyx Rose 9.5 on TikTok, and usually my numbers will be 9, 5, 6, or 3. I use them specifically and in specific orders. So um, yeah, TikTok. It was good that I got off TikTok. I got off TikTok the day that the thing came down that said you had to sign. I immediately deleted my account. Hi, Rouser. What's up? What's up? Um, uh, yeah, Yeah, so yeah, all my socials are Onyx Rose like 9 or Onyx Rose 9.5. That's Blue Sky and like all of them. Like the Fediverse though, like Mastodon, I do have onyxrose.com. Um, yep, thanks for checking in, Rouser. Yay. Um, yeah, I have Onyx Rose on Mastodon. I don't know if y'all know what the Fediverse is. Um, but Neuro D might know. Um, but if y'all don't know, the Fediverse is a decentralized space for basically whatever you want to do. It's like the metaverse, meaning Mark Zuckerberg's shit. It's like Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, not Snapchat, but whatever that ones that we were just talking about, TikTok and all of that stuff. And there's so many. The thing about the Fediverse is it's not one server, um, or not like multiple servers in one place. It is computer servers that are hooked up, and transmitting information all across the world. And so it's not corporate. It's not, and that's good. It decentralizes, and that is the main word. It's decentralized. There is not one single entity that is running this show. And so there is not a board who's making money, who's being like, you got to do it this way, and hands. No, that's not how it goes. So the Fediverse right now is pretty wild and pretty queer. Catch it while you can. No Fediverse? Fediver, Fedifevers. No Fediverse, huh? Yeah, so it's confusing. I'm not gonna lie, it's super confusing. Um, Wendy seems to think it's not, but Wendy is a tech geek, and I'm not saying that disrespectfully, but I am just not. I could never understand that. I try to. I mean, I've got a little tech knowledge, a little bit, but like it's like okay, let me unplug this and plug it back in. Let me let me turn it off and turn it back on. No, I've got a little bit more than that. It's I'm not that bad, but I am not like a I am not like a coder at all. I don't know C++. plus plus. I forgot basic HTML, and like we all knew HTML back in the day because anybody who had a MySpace account was using HTML. So yeah, 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 yeah. So you can't code. Did you have a MySpace account? I mean, because that's what we were doing on MySpace is we were using HTML. We were coding. We were coding everything to change our backgrounds, to move our friends around, to making like emojis. We were coding. It's kind of funny because I don't remember any of that. I used to know how to do all sorts of stuff. And now since I stopped using it and since MySpace like went down and it just got, my skills got lazier and lazier. And now I don't know how to do any of it. Yeah. So you had an open diary, which that had to go to back in the day. I don't know open diary. I do know, live journal. Yes, live journal. I don't know Open Diary. I've not heard of that, but yes, I have heard of Live Journal. I used WordPress for about 6 years, 5 years straight, as a writing tool. As far and then like farther back, I didn't write online. Actually, I did. I wrote like confessional poetry and shit. I was like writing Taylor Swift shit when I was younger, and I still do sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I do that shit a lot. Um, because I don't think it's bad. I like Taylor Swift's music. It shuttered in 2014 before it was before LiveJournal. Okay, it came back in 2018, but it sucked when it came back and required you to pay to write. Ugh, that's why you never went to it. So Medium, you have to pay to write. I didn't know that. Oh, I wouldn't have gone to Medium if I had to pay to write. I didn't know that. So like, I know people who've written on Medium, and it sounds good. Like, but I guess there are hidden things in everything. I didn't know you had to pay to write on Medium. That is horrible. It's a flat rate. Well, any kind of rate. Like, I mean, I guess I understand why you do because I did enter a poem and it was $3. And I was like, okay, I'll just pay the fucking $3, you know. But so I did, and it's a one-time fee. And I can enter as many poems as I want to now. But I was just like, ugh. Um, but that's okay. I guess I can understand that, but Medium's got to be making a lot of money. I heard Medium's going down anyway right now. I know that Sturge writes on Medium, and Brandon. I don't know if he's writing on Medium anymore, but he said he left Medium because it was just going downhill. What do you mean you got lost, browser? Did you get? Did you lose the connection? I'm sorry. Yeah, we're talking about Medium and writing platforms. So um, yeah, Brandon and I think Sturge are both on Medium. Those are the two people I know on Medium. I don't know anybody else on Medium. And they both said they're jumping ship, um, because of issues. Like, because it's just like, I don't know what Brandon's issues were with Medium. I don't, oh, I do know what Brandon's issues were with Medium. He's just not making enough money. So he said he'd give it a try on Substack and to make some money because, of course, he wants to make. I mean, he is a full time writer. Like, not wants to make. Brandon is, aside from being a beautiful person, like soul. Not, I'm not talking about just a beautiful man. I'm talking about beautiful soul. Um, you know, aside from being a beautiful soul, he is a wonderful writer, and I mean across the board, across the board. And I don't get like all fangirly over like people, you know, and I don't get fangirly over celebrities at all. But Brandon is like I fangirl over all of his shit. No. Oh God, I wish I could be a full-time writer. Yeah, that would be great. Um, unfamiliar information. Okay. Sorry. What kind of information? I'll try. Let's see. So, like, I do wish I could be a full-time writer. But that requires dedication to your craft. It requires going to creative writing classes, learning different writing style, or maybe it doesn't require that at all. And I'll tell you why, because I knew a writer. I was actually thanked and acknowledged in one of his books about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, of course, because I'm a huge Buffy nerd and know so much about Buffy. Um, yeah, I don't have any degrees, but I like can tell you every single thing about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Gilmore Girls. There are a lot of things I can tell you about. I just don't have any degrees. Yeah, but yeah, so I am thanked in a Buffy the Vampire Slayer book, but and I put in a lot of work because I have a lot of knowledge in that show. But it's in my dead name, so I don't show it off too often. It's in my dead name. And the point I was making about this author is he was not a classically trained author. He did not go to school to write. He did not get any degrees, but he wrote, and he did not edit. And he did not send it to an editor, so he self-published. And as a result, he would have like 1,000-page books, like six of them in a row. And I'm like, you're going to have to edit. Like, people can't, you know, don't want to keep up with this kind of stuff. At least for me, I was like, like, when you have 1,000-page books and you have multiple 1,000-page books that are supposed to be, in a row, like, how do you keep up with all these characters? Like, how do you keep up with all the storylines? Like, what, like, I don't know how you do all that. You're not a writer, not your cup of tea, Rouser. Okay, well, that's cool. Yeah. Just feels you know nothing about. Okay. Ask David Bradley, one of my favorite all-time creative writing professors. Okay. He went to UPenn and is award-winning writer. David Bradley, I think I know his name. He said it doesn't matter where you get your education; it's what you put into it. Yeah, that is true. Off topic, what I can tell you, sliced ripe avocado is delicious on top of ramen soup noodles. Okay, so I've got a thing with avocado. Avocado is nasty to me. Um, and I will say that to me. You may like it, and I know Egg loves it, but to me, it tastes like mushy, wet grass. And I can't. That is just not something I can get over. So, and that's like I remember the same thing matcha. Like matcha was so big a couple years ago, and maybe like 5, 6 years ago. Like I remember when Tivana came out, so I was like, yeah, let me get some matcha. This is the real deal. Let me do it up like how you're supposed to do it. I got all the tools. I made it and drank it, and it was disgusting. It tasted like fishy water, and I don't like fishy water. Um, David Bradley is a Black American author and not a white British actor. Um, there's an actor with the same name, David Bradley. I don't know. I don't know either of them. Then no. The sliced ripe avocado and the ramen soup noodles. I dig. Yeah, let's see. I love avocados. I just can't get. Why can't you eat them if you love them? It must be. I don't know why, but tell me, Rouser, why you can't eat them. David's dad also wrote books, so David is David H. Bradley Jr. Okay, so I will look him up. David H. Bradley Jr. Um, yeah, like so. Yeah, I haven't. It's true though. I would like to take a creative writing class. I would like to take like poetry writing class, because I feel like something like, even, not in school, but just a class, like give me a fucking class, like continuing education or some shit like that. So just so I can learn the basics, so then I can break the rules. That's what everyone says: learn the basics, learn the structure, and then you can break the rules as you wish. But I don't know the structure, so I just sort of broken the rules to begin with. And unfortunately, like, when you have no structure, sometimes things turn out to shit. There are some people who won't put out a poem because they know it's bad. Like, I just throw shit out there, and if it sticks, it sticks, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Um, you know, I uh, Gallstones, okay. You like matcha, just need to make it correctly. Yeah. I don't know if make it correctly means a lot of sugar and a lot of foam and a lot of whatever else, but like if it's just straight up matcha, it is not good to me at all. In any way it's made. Um, that is like, any type of, uh, I don't know if y'all remember back in the day, like maybe in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, it was popular to get wheatgrass shots, and they were just basically shots of wheatgrass. And they like compressed it and liquefied it, and then gave it to you in a cup like this big. And of course, it was this thick green shit, and you would just shoot it, and it was nasty. It was exactly what you would expect it to be. It was grass, and it was supposed to be all healthy for you. Well, that shit lasted for all of about a year, maybe 6 months, and it was gone. So it wasn't that healthy for you, It was just like everything else. No sugar, stevia, almond milk. Yeah. No sugar, stevia, almond milk. Okay. Um, my Bible is The Poet's Companion by Dorian Laux and Kim Donzio. So I don't know that book at all. I don't, I have books on poetry. I have a lot of poetry books, but I don't have like The Poet's Companion or anything like that, like how to write poetry. I need something like that, to be completely honest. So I can, like, I mean, I really do, because I want to sharpen my skills. I know I have, like, and I'm not, once again, I'm not bragging. I am humble bragging. So it is a brag, but it's a humble brag. I have the raw talent to be a poet, to be a good poet, I should say. Not a bloody awful poet, but a good to medium good poet. I have the raw talent, but it needs to be refined, just like even with a diamond, you pull it out in the rough. People do appreciate rough diamonds, though. People appreciate rough crystals more so than polished, you know. There are collectors that do. So maybe, I can be one of them, just an unpolished gem. Ching. Yeah. Um, Wheatgrass would, yeah, it was just disgusting. Yeah. Um, so what is AFK 10 minutes? What is AFK 10 minutes? I'm not sure what that means. Uh, all I know is, okay, so I've been on for 2 hours, 26 minutes. I'm gonna wrap this up in 4 minutes, y'all. Because it's almost 11 o'clock and I need to go talk to Egg before she gets in bed. I'm sure she's in bed, getting in bed very soon if she's not in bed right now. Um, she stayed up until 4 o'clock this morning, yesterday. So this morning, while I was in bed by 11:30, which for me, so we switched roles basically. I'm usually the one up all night, and she's usually the one in bed very quickly. And last night was just a completely different story, which was good because I was able to get some sleep. Good night, Rouser. And actually, good night, everybody in the chat. NeuroD, like, hit me back channel if you want to talk about doing some readings. I'll be happy to read one of my poems. I can't do a slam because, like, I'm not there yet. Like, I'm going to stumble all over my words reading my poem. For everyone else who's in here, Rouser, thanks for coming in. I know Luca was in here at one point. Luca, if you're still in here, thank you. Everybody else who's in here, thank you. I know I just ramble and just ramble and ramble and ramble. So I appreciate everybody coming in. Let's end it the way we normally do. No trash. That means no transphobia, no racism, no ableism, no sexism, no homophobia, no Islamophobia, no xenophobia, no borders. Fuck ICE and fuck Trump. And with that, I say good night, everybody. Have a good one. A biento or adobo.